Not only are these themes important, the childlike perspective presented in the film is key to have them be effective, but how the film brings it across through the finish line is handled in a very mature way. Welcome one and all anime fans, thank you for clicking on my review for Drifting Home. Netflix's latest anime original comes to us from Studio Colorido, the creators of Penguin Highway, and this time we follow childhood friends Kosuke and Natsume, as during their summer break they play around the now believed to be haunted apartment complex they grew up in and is set to be demolished. But suddenly, along with their schoolmates, they find themselves caught in a strange phenomenon. All they can see around them is a vast sea with nothing around it. Every now and then they will stumble upon another drifting building that clashes against theirs and cause trouble, but they have to somehow find their way back home. And I love me some anime that discusses themes of childhood and growing up. There's a unique sensibility to this film that is not found really anywhere else besides maybe some Ghibli films, which is a quality that I really appreciated in Drifting Home. This is not an action movie. I wouldn't even say this is an adventure movie. This is a drama on the uncertainties and struggles of growing up. It just so happens to be set within this heightened reality, brought to life through gorgeous hand-drawn animation. The way water looks in this movie is gorgeous. It is so detailed, it is so immense and vast. The enormity of this world of nothingness, really, that the animators and directors have created through the visual scope alone in this film, that just makes these kids look so infinitely small compared to everything around them, is overwhelming, which is great at generating tension throughout, be it through the conflicts and relationships of these kids, what they believe and how they try to figure out the situation. But the film also has a ton of horror elements that I was so into, because that's kind of what growing up is. It can feel like a horror film. You feel so overwhelmingly, creepingly afraid of what is to come, because we don't know what is to come. Much like these kids don't see anything around them. They're clinging back to what they know, this apartment building that they grew up in. And I love these kinds of stories. The film delicately presents an earnest childlike perspective where we cling on to what we know so much. We don't want to move, we don't want to grow apart from friends. We start to lose a sense of who we are and what we know. It feels like we have no ground to set our feet upon, much like the characters in this film start to find themselves slowly but surely without any ground as the building they're on starts slowly sinking through their journey of trying to find their way home. That's exactly what Natsume is struggling with through this film. She doesn't want to say farewell to what she knows, the childhood that she holds so dear to her heart because of reasons I don't want to spoil, but it's extremely compelling, while all her friends have found these easy ways of moving on with their lives without little care for what they used to be and what they used to have. Not only are these themes important, the childlike perspective presented in the film is key to have them be effective, but how the film brings it across through the finish line is handled in a very mature way that I think both kids and grown-ups can take something from this film. In the middle, it kind of drags. In the middle, it takes kind of the power away from the message because it veers in so many different tangents that feel pointless and unnecessary. The overall product is boggled down a little bit with how the characters grow through this journey of being lost adrift together. The message grows along with them. You feel like you have several different perspectives for the message, but ultimately they all realize this one thing, and what growing up really is all about, as frightening as it can be. And apart from Kosuke and Natsume, the other characters present in the film are quite undercooked. They serve really nice conflicts in key moments, but apart from that, they're just add-ons that barely play a part in the film. I feel they add unnecessary and overbearing tension where they just extremely mean and stop feeling as realistic as the rest of the film does. There are moments where the film kind of stretches out its meanings, it over-explains things. Through the bulk of the second act, there are moments where you can cut around and this film could have been shorter and even more effective, and I just don't think it should have been so in your face, so on the nose about its ultimate message and meaning. There's a character here called Nopo that is effective and has one breathtaking visual sequence, but apart from that, it's such an important character for the film and yet does so little to drive the story forward. I just felt that this character, while compelling enough in his very existence, was an over-explanation of everything the film was about, and it could have just been conversations between Natsume and Kosuke, who are the driving forces of the narrative. It's their conflicting relationship, how they grew apart from one another, why they grew apart from one another, and ultimately what can eventually bring them back together. It is a beautiful movie that I just don't think trimmed out its edges well enough. So it's a good enough experience with some compelling ideas, some tender moments between characters, but the story to convey these messages just wasn't entirely well thought out for me. But quick, before I dive into my final thoughts on Drifting Home, now streaming on Netflix, I need you to start the conversation about it in the comments below. What did you think of this? What is your favorite Studio Colorido film? And what is your favorite Netflix original anime? Anything and everything down there. And if you enjoy anime reviews, if you're enjoying this review, or if you just love movies and TV, this is the place to be. So consider clicking that subscribe button and you won't miss any future conversations on your favorite movies and TV. From the score to the visuals to the pure childlike sense of wonder and fear in growing up, Drifting Home is such a pleasant watch. It ultimately lacks in the power of how its message is conveyed, and the themes can feel too overbearing, but the way it teaches such an important lesson in such an understanding way is rarely found in movies out there, and I really appreciated that. There's a Ghibli-esque quality to Drifting Home's portrayal of the uncertainty of growing up, clinging to childhood, and the fear of the future. Not every thematic fully lands, and it definitely overstays its welcome, but there's a purity to the storytelling and some breathtaking visuals that make this one worth the watch. I'm giving Drifting Home a B-. And that's my take on Netflix's latest anime movie, Drifting Home. Let me know what you make of it in the comments below. Start the conversation, because that's the most important part. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with more reviews very soon. And thank you to my channel members for always supporting this channel. So until the next one, love each other and love the movies.